yo, you got a beer, you got the blunt, man. I need a beer too, shit.
Yeah, no, I have a 12-pack of Coors in here that are like 2 months old.
I would be drinking if I was gonna drink, bro. I'm not gonna show it because that might be some type of like. He put our brand in the video.
Oh.
You fucking owe us some money.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
it's the other way around.
Right? Yeah.
Asahi, pay us, please. I'll be there in February. I would not mind going home with a case.
Marijuana. It's all marijuana.
How about fuck Anthony? Anthony, you do the intro.
Bro, I can't do this. I'm gonna pass this to Rudy.
Here we go.
Bro will cook. Let Rudy cook on
YouTube was cooking, was cracking, and was popping. Welcome back to our Single High podcast. Anyways, guys, we're glad to be back. We're glad to bring you back some football news, and we hope you guys enjoy what's coming.
It's live. 2024 season is gonna what? I mean, we're recording this on a Tuesday. 2 more days. It's insane how quickly it came back. 2 days until the NFL season starts. 3 days until my team plays. Woo.
I can't wait.
I'm excited.
I feel good about my fantasy rosters, man, and I feel good about the season. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on with all the teams, but I mean, for the most part, details got ironed out, hands got shook, contracts got signed, people got paid, and everybody's happy and ready to get the season going. With that being said, I mean, god damn, man, I know it was a pain in the damn ass, but we finally got Ayuk and we finally got Williams to sign their contracts and get back to camp and get going again, man. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I'll be the first to say it, like, I love Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a great player. I think he's a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But I think he really needed to meet the Niners in the middle somewhere just due to the fact of, we all know how his rookie contract went. It was great the first year. He showed a lot of promise, showed a lot of good stuff. Second year came and he ended up in the doghouse. You know, third year he spent a good majority of his beginning of his season getting out of the doghouse, and then the back end he got out of it. But I have a really strong feeling, more or less, I guess you could say, that a lot of it had to do with the fact, a very, very strong inclinations that a lot of it had to do, that success had to do with the fact that Brock Purdy took over the helms, and if you notice, he became his favorite target.
You don't think he would have had that season with Jimmy G?
I personally don't. I think Jimmy G was really stuck on Deebo Samuel. You know what I mean? A lot of his passes did go to him, and not just him, but George Kittle. He really did like to check down to that tight end quite a bit. So
George Kittle saw a decline in production last year.
Yes, he did and he did last year towards the back end of the year when Brock Purdy took over. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's nothing bad. You know, George Kittle himself has said it, like, I love touching the ball. Yeah, I love catching it and going in for a touchdown. But he's even said it, I love pancaking blockers a lot more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's a team player, as you can see, true and through. And I really feel like, you know, it's going to be a good season for them. But it is good news that Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams finally signed, and they're able to move on. Hopefully the next big guy will be Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? Because I heard he's still holding out right now.
He wants one more penny than over Justin Jefferson. Did you think that Ayuk and
was it
Williams,
really just one more penny?
That's kind of like that's what he said. He literally said it. He literally said it. He's like, I just want one more penny. I don't care if it's $1 or $100 million or $1 million.
He's really
I want
worth
one
that
more penny.
Yeah, but to get that penny would stipulate that he is better than Justin Jefferson.
One's been in the Super Bowl.
Yes, but you can't give that to Jamar Chase and Jamar Chase only. Big Joe Daddy's over there, and he was getting
it changes things. It does change things.
Isn't there another person that also is waiting on a contract on the Eagles Jets side of things? Hassan Reddick. Right? That's the big defensive.
Yeah.
That's more the Jets. That's the Jets' stupidity. They expected the Eagles.
Because they went and picked them up.
Listen, they expected the Eagles to sign and trade. They didn't wait for the sign part. The Eagles traded. They got their draft pick, and now he's holding out against the Jets because they're not wanting to match his number. So Howie Roseman actually has the chance to do the funniest thing. Because now he's demanded a trade. I think he's kind of resolved it a little bit to the point where, like, he will play.
But he would still be interested in a trade along the lines if they don't meet his numbers.
Yeah,
but that's kind of smart and that's good. I personally feel, like he said, it's money. It ensures you're not going to get fined for missing practices, meetings, mandatory, meets with your position meets or things of that nature, things that are mandatory and obligated to him as a professional player. So it's going to keep that money in the bank for him without having to worry about catching those crazy fines. Like Trent Williams was getting fined like,
I was going to say,
$50,000 a day, and he was close to $1 million in fines. I was just like, oh my god!
I think that was the crazy.
I think that was practice, my guy.
I think that was the. I think that was the weirder thing. I think that was the weirder thing between Ayuk and Williams is the fact that like Williams was gonna make like $23 million this season, 27 next year, and then like 32 the year after. So he just wanted to make that 32 basically, but for all 3 years. Like that was his thing. It's like I'll take the hit on the third year, but bring the first 2 years up.
And rightfully so.
He's been the best absolutely
in the league for a couple years running. You know what I mean? He deserves his money.
Yeah, there's like maybe
like 2 or 3 years that he's been no less than like the top 3 of linemen. You know what I'm saying? So
left tackle for sure. Like but yeah, so like
that's what I mean. It complements of his position.
With Ayuk, like that was a little more understandable because this is his last year on his rookie contract. He's like, look, I've played.
No, he still had 1 more year.
That's what I'm saying.
This season would have been.
That's what I'm saying. This was his last year, so he was looking for an extension. So he's like, this is my last year on my contract. Before I hit the free agent market after this season, like I want to get fucking paid. I do want to stay here. Like that made sense. Whereas like Williams still had 3 more years where he was going to make millions of dollars, but he also it's necessitated by the fact that he played well. So I do think.
But to be fair, I see the Williams thing because of his production. His demands came after many successful years of production.
Yeah. So here's
the supply was there. Now he's requiring the
so I will say this, and this kind of harkens back to something from a few years ago. So Kittle, Bosa, Warner, Debo, Jimmy Ward, Eric Armstead, Brandon Ayuk, and now Trent Williams, all being signed, and some of them having a little bit of like negotiations. Obviously, these last 2 were probably the most severe in terms of negotiations. Probably the closest would be
Ayuk and Debo.
Yeah, with Ayuk and Trent Williams. But I think Bosa was probably like the closest last year, where like he actually almost did hold out until the season started, and it did affect his play in the regular season. But do you think that the Niners learned from their mistakes after DeForest Buckner? Do you think that plays in any of these signings?
I think it does. I think a lot of it has a lot to do with, like you said, when D-Buck went over with the Colts and they were asking him about it, he made the comment like, what did he say? He goes like, I didn't even really get a chance to negotiate with them. It's like they kind of threw a number out there. We didn't agree with it, and they just said, okay, bye. And then that was it. Like, we really didn't go back and forth and have these contract negotiations. So I think, yes, it has played a big toll in their future contracts, because I feel like with the Niners hearing that much from a player, it kind of gave them that thump on the head, like, hey, jackass, we could have probably kept this guy, and he was willing. It sounds like he was willing to work with us. Yeah. So I think what the Niners are doing now is they're just trailing it to the last possible option and seeing how much they can really work with the player and how much the player is really willing to work with them, and then go from there. Because you also got to think of the aspect, they don't want to lose their great players. They want to keep as solid of a team as they can for as long as they can, which any team would want to do. You know what I'm saying? If they were given that position to be able to do so. But at the same time, they also know that these players are going to cost a lot of money. And they also know that they got other players just like them that are going to be needing contract renewals like pretty much every year up until the end of time. Yeah. So in their eyes, they can't just keep doing this where they're just coughing out these hundreds and fifties to almost $200 million every single year to one individual player. Because eventually, it's like the league has been saying, it's going to catch up with them, and they're going to get back into a corner where they're not going to be able to pay nobody, and they're going to end up screwed over, losing all these players to trades that want to get their fucking money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All I can say is, like, summarizing some of these contracts and everything, you kind of, from a fantasy perspective, if you're a Christian McCaffrey holder, you're happy, right? Because
that was terrifying.
You're mainly happy for Trent Williams, right? Him signing. Ayuk, that's also good. You know, it's another target, that sort of thing. But Trent Williams is the big one. right? So once you see the deal is done, you don't even care what the number is. No one really cares what the
Yeah,
contract
no,
is.
pop
Usually some
champagne, baby.
crazy number.
They're just happy to know that they got their guy back.
Yeah, that's all they care about, right? So
Mhm.
like Christian McCaffrey is now set. All of a sudden he returns back to practice in full form. He's solid. He sees Trent Williams sign. That's probably like, all right, I'm good to go now. I got my blocker type of thing, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and like, speaking of great people, I want to give a shout out because, one, he was one of my favorite, if not most favorite, only because I was at that age where I could fully understand the game since he played, and at that age where you could just start to do what your parents did when they were your age and really fall in love with the game and fall in love with your team and learn to really root for a certain individual. That's one. And then two is because he shares the same birthday as my son, Patrick Willis. He got inducted into the Hall of Fame finally.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah, he was the last selection this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was awesome to see that happen. Not only did I get to see my favorite player play the game and do it well, make the Pro Bowl every year, go to the Super Bowl one of his years before his retirement ended, and then hearing about his retirement, and I was almost crying because I was just like, why? Like,
yeah, no, he kind of speed ran his shit. Like he had another good 4 years. It's crazy. But
unfortunately, he was the one who got hit by the Charger. So.
Yeah, obviously, we're talking about rookie cornerback
from the Minnesota Vikings. You know, R.I.P. my guy. You know, and prayers and much love out to your family as well too. I can only hope things are getting better over there for them. I mean, to make the assumption that they are, or they probably ever will be again. They definitely won't be the same, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, with that being said, you know, R.I.P. to that family. You know, to him, and then you know, much love and you know. Many prayers coming towards you guys, and you know I hope God sees you guys through that one. That's a tough loss, and the good news is you know he wasn't out doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing when that happened. Seems like he was doing all the right things. It was another selfish individual who did those things.
Yeah,
and it was unfortunate. You know, it's a very unfortunate thing, but you can't say this before he went. He proved to himself and the rest of the world that he was good enough.
Yeah,
you know? And that's always a big highlight. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, and your family can stand tall and say like, my son was one of the best, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, just making it to the league is huge.
Just making it to the league is huge. Yeah, like you said, you know, there's only 250, something like that, 252 spots that they take.
Well, it's 50,
you know what I mean?
53-man roster for 32 teams.
Yeah, you know, but no, I'm talking about in the draft.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
in the draft,
you know, there's only 252 spots in the draft, you know, and that's out of God knows how many thousands of and college athletes you know entered into the NFL draft and trying to see if they're good enough.
Technically, anybody could do it. I could, and we could all declare for the NFL draft this year.
I know, but you get what I'm saying.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
know. Okay, so then that just proves my point even more thorough. Is like, even with the people who have that self-confidence to believe they're really the best.
Yeah.
And could compete with the best, even though they've taken many years off. Well, these guys never have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying.
A team paid
he's had
physical money.
Those people and actual real people.
At the end of the day,
deserve to be there.
At the end of the day, it boils down to this:
he earned one of those spots.
A team paid physical money to acquire the rights to a person to wear their jersey.
Even better.
That's it.
A team collectively thought. You were the guy that we needed to pick that phone up and give that call to and be like, welcome to the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my kids playing football right now, and I can only, you know, pray to God that my kids would ever experience that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and hey, one of them, I'm not going to lie, is on the path to it. I hope he really does succeed, and he stays on the straight and narrow.
Imagine having two of them play against each other in the Super Bowl. Big name. This is going to be the first game in Brazil ever in South America for the NFL. And this will be the first game since 2011. So 13 years. So since Anthony and I were late freshmen, or well, it would have been in the fall. So it would have been sophomores in high school. Since I was a sophomore in high school, I have not seen a game where Jason Kelce doesn't suit up for the Philadelphia Eagles. That is insane. So
That's right. That just happened this off season too.
yep, another big retirement.
Yeah.
I like how a lot of players over there are pretty much saying like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay inside though.
Dude,
I'm gonna stay inside.
hell yeah,
Go play the game and get back.
Hell
home,
yeah.
all that sort of thing.
Right.
dude. Honestly, I thought about going to that game, and in hindsight, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
Japan sounds better.
Hey, they'll give us a rundown. I'm sure of the players. You know, they'll share
Yeah.
their experiences.
I'm
But
sure the players will
they
get
have
run
to
down.
Tailor what they say a bit because they're going to be in the media, and obviously the NFL wants to continue production over there in South
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
So
They don't want
to
to.
get the tailored
Yeah,
down
Jimmy?
version of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want to end up like Ricky Pearsall.
Exactly.
Bro. Hey. My boy didn't go out like no bitch though.
Oh my god. Give me the
My
Rolex.
man said,
No.
hey, nah,
he
you
stood
ain't
and
getting
walked
this
to
for
the
free,
ambulance.
that's for sure.
He stood and walked to the ambulance and then was out weight training like 48 hours later. Was back in the gym. Bro is built different.
What?
So I ain't losing my motherfucking spot. 53, I made it.
So that means you should probably like, what is it? Drop one of your 49er players and pick up Pearsall just for standing by your guy, right?
Yeah.
No, he just
I'm not gonna
dropped
lie. There
Ricky
was a
Pearsall.
other league that I'm in that I did have him. I actually dropped him.
He dropped him for Brandon Cooks.
Right.
Damn.
I mean, you know what? He can be hitting the gym right now, and he can have the best of wishes in his mind. But the reality is that it's gonna be quite a while before he steps on the fucking.
Do you
NFL
think
field,
he
you know
do
what
you
I
think he
mean?
added Many Men by 50 Cent to his playlist?
Right.
his-
He's
to
gonna
his
do the
gym
same thing
playlist?
as all the other guys who got shot.
Well,
Jeez.
but nah, insanity. That being said, like with that taking that, I mean, not a big hit, especially after getting Ayuk back, but that opens up we were just talking about this, like roster spots for the wide receivers. We know Ronnie Bell was kind of getting a little bit ostracized and left off of that, especially after like the great offseason
I
for.
think he's gonna continue to be ostracized. I don't know if he made the freaking 53-man roster. To be honest with you, I don't
Even-
think he did.
Well, no, so he doesn't need to make the 53 man, but he
Owen
can get
did.
moved. That's what I'm saying. So I think he might be able to get moved up while Ricky Pearsall goes on either PUP or IR or NFI.
If that opens up a wide receiver spot, I know Kadarius Toney is still looking, so he will definitely be a candidate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You always got to add him in. Yeah, similar build to Xavier Worthy.
I think your OBS thing.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Man, I am just
You're good.
having. There we go.
Yeah,
So
it's got to
just
like
having
find something to
people.
track. So we'll turn the label around, but this is my birthday present. This is a little bit of soju. Yes, sir. So we're drinking soju tonight. But
Yeah, Japanese killer.
this is actually Korean.
Oh, you said soju.
Yeah.
I think something else.
Sake. That's
Sake.
this.
Bro has it lined up.
Bro.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's going to be a very interesting season. You know, you think about all the trades that happened. You think about, you know, all the guys who went on free agency and they got picked up and things of that nature. Like,
A lot
I
of
mean,
shakeups. A lot of shakeups.
the Pittsburgh Steelers, I hope this guy, keep an eye out for him because I really feel like this is really it for him. Van Jefferson, because he got picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers instead of Ayuk. Like, that's a major gap in my opinion in talent. Then,
Deontay Johnson.
yeah, you get what I'm saying. That they got rid of, and then that they, you know, eventually tried to make a move for. You know what I'm saying? Then they settle for this guy, and it's like, I really hope this guy gets it through his head, like, motherfucker, this might be your very last team.
The chip on the shoulder type of scenario.
Yeah, instead of walking in there with a chip on your shoulder, you should probably be walking in there like, they didn't even want me, they settled for me.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm
They
really
went from
hoping this
Deontay
kind of puts
Johnson
it.
to contract
To-
talks with Ayuk to landing with Van Jefferson, right?
That's insane.
Or-
That's what happens during the fantasy season when like your stud goes out and then you're hitting the waiver wire and then
And you
like
pick
he
him
has
up
a
and you're like,
he has a bye week and then you're like I got to fill this guy in and you look at waivers again and you're like I guess Van Jefferson. I guess. Fuck.
There was that one good year. There was that one good year.
You're like, just give me one game. You feel like a fucking coach. You're like, I just need one game out of you, son. Go out there, run through a wall.
A touchdown and maybe 80 yards. I'll settle. I'll meet you in the mid.
Just give me.
It's one of those situations. But
it's a PPR league. He just needs 10 catches, 10 yards.
He does have talent. He does have skill. I mean, he's in the fucking NFL. You gotta have something.
That's what we just talked about.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just really hope that maybe he sees it as a last opportunity, to be real with you, before he ends up in the fucking USFL or CFL, to be honest with you.
Fan controlled football league.
You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It becomes more of a blood sport.
Yeah,
as I was saying, it becomes more of a fucking blood sport. It's like
he's throwing over there, hyping it up, bro.
It's like the real life any given Sunday. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like it is, right? Yeah. I swear to God, bro. I feel like Jamie Foxx is gonna come out and play quarterback on one of these teams eventually. You know what I'm saying? When you watch that shit.
How do you feel about the Raiders this year, Anthony? What do you think they're gonna look like?
Bro, a lot of Raiders.
What moves? Because honestly, I keep up with like headlines. I keep up with my team, but I haven't seen any of the big. I'm sure you guys have made some like underrated moves.
I haven't seen shit about the fucking
Raiders. I would
Raiders.
say we haven't done too much stuff overall from last year. The main big signing was Christian Wilkins from Miami Dolphins.
Gardner Minshew. Your opening day starter.
Of course, Gardner Minshew. Of course.
I mean, at the end of the day, that is your opening day starter.
The thing is, for a lot of Raiders, it's the battle of mid, right? Yeah, we had AOC. They were battling it out with Gardner Minshew in the preseason, and eventually Minshew got the nod for starters, right?
Yeah.
But we're not like super hyped. It's a lot of just see how it goes. We think it'll be a slight upgrade, but we are not sure how much. But Gardner Minshew, Christian Wilkins, we have Jack Jones, of course, back in cornerback. And then we have Robert Spillane as our linebacker, along with Malcolm Kuntz now for defensive line alongside Crosby. So like defensive line wise, we're looking good. The secondary, little suspect still, but Jack Jones was amazing last year, and he's been a standout player.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got rid of the cornerback Amik Robertson. I believe he went over to Detroit Lions last year, or this year.
Joining their draft pick, the rookie pick.
Yeah, so he's over there. So yeah, I would say a lot of our moves haven't been like, you could say like crazy, like oh my god, they got this top quarterback or anything. Gardner Minshew, Christian Wilkins, main ones, and then just having Jack Jones return. The big thing that people are hyped about is just Antonio Pierce, just him having his first full year as Raiders head coach. I would say if you talk to any Raiders fan, that's what they're most hyped about. That and along with getting Crosby some assistance on the defensive line. Right?
Yeah.
So that's really what they're going to tell you. The offense, we are not, super optimistic. We're kind of like, hey, let's see how it goes. We don't know if it'll be a super big improvement or if it'll be about the same with AOC.
Yeah.
But at least there'll be competition, right? You have QBs battling it out. So hopefully they can continue to push each other and see how it goes, because I'm sure Antonio Pierce will definitely sit Minshew if AOC is, producing and in their practice and everything like that, or if he's just not producing on the field in general. So
on a good note, they it has been said, at least I saw a post on Instagram, social media, and it said that on the good note that you don't have the worst wide receiver group in the NFL. Apparently, it was actually the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, yeah.
And I was just looking it up right now. Yeah, I was just looking it up right now to check a look, and they got Calvin Austin, George Pickens, and Scotty Miller.
And probably Carolina's near them too, huh?
Possibly, because Carolina doesn't have shit that I could think of.
Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo,
Xavier Legette.
For us, we got, the rookie. For us on the Raiders side, we have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and our wide receiver 3 who looked really good in preseason was Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
So Trey Tucker could definitely step it up and be.
He had some decent games last year.
Who's your guys' running backs?
Samir White
and Alexander Madison. I don't think we have Abdullah anymore. I think
Alexander Madison could do better than Zamir White, to be honest with you.
Is it Alexander Madison? I think pushing 29 right now. He's a good secondary back, right? For just a backup.
I really feel like he can
Zamir
have
White's 24.
I think I really feel like he can have himself a Raheem Mostert.
Bro
kind of
walks
year,
around like this, like legit, like his neck is crazy, but
Hey,
Rose is actually built different.
tell me why I remember watching some NFL video where some cat says that, where he's just like talking to him about the season, and his neck was fucking huge. He goes, "You think that'd have been a lot easier if you had a fucking neck like
You know
this?"
what's crazy? What's crazy with Zamir White is if he has another 100-yard rushing game, it'll be like I think 4 100-yard rushing games in the past 5 starts of his career. Like it's an insane stat line
Yeah.
that I think goes unnoticed. So it's like that would be pretty crazy, just to see happen if that does happen in the LA Chargers game. But last time they played LA Chargers, they put 63 points on them. So it's definitely possible. That's why I'm rocking their defense. I have no shame in that.
That game was so crazy watching live.
Dude,
oh my god.
And at the same time, since Antonio Pierce took like the reins as head coach, the defense has gone crazy with it.
Yeah.
There was only 2 down weeks since he took over, from weeks 9 to 17, I believe, of last year. There was only 2 down weeks where they scored like pretty low. Every other week was like top. Like they are the best defensive stream. And I took them. I won the chip with it. I had their defense. Yeah, no, they're crazy with it. So I just want to see how it does with Antonio Pierce. Again, suspect on the offense, but pretty confident in the defense right now.
That's awesome. On the
Houston
fantasy
Texans, would you take it?
What was that?
If I offered you the Houston Texans for the Raiders, would you take it?
No. I think right now I'd
The lies.
I'm a Raider fan, and at the same time, for week 1 against LA Chargers, after he put 63 on them, I'm gonna take them again, just to see if they can run it back. Because like our team very much goes off of hype, which of course a lot of teams do too. But like you just see it on the sidelines, and it's crazy. So I just want to see how they do, especially knowing that they just like beat their ass last time they played them. So they're walking in with that confidence, like I'm gonna do that again.
I feel like you guys are gonna get smashed again.
Hey, look,
No,
we're
honestly,
going against wide receivers of Josh Palmer.
That's not me just being a hater. I don't know.
Rodgers.
I don't think you guys can't somewhere along the line in the season pick it up. I mean, if you if you guys start off really strong, I think that's great. I think you guys will actually do really phenomenal, and you guys will get a lot done in the season, even like make the playoffs, and maybe even go a little bit deep in them. But
no Diddy.
Oh, hold up on playoffs.
I was gonna say, no, I really do believe that. But I think you guys, I know. But what I'm saying is, I think you guys need to find your identity first before it gets there. And I'm not saying that it hasn't happened yet, but there really hasn't been no major signs to show that they have.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
The identity is being built, and
definitely.
From last year,
but
weeks 9 to 17.
No, I really feel like you guys could make the playoffs this year, because I feel like maybe you don't have it figured out yet what your guys' identity is, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen somewhere early on in the season to where it makes a big enough difference where you guys are in the playoffs or even making a run for it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, there is strong possibilities. I do see you guys beating the Chiefs at least once this season, to be honest with you. Yeah. Possibly twice if you guys don't play them too early on. You know what I mean? What do you guys? You guys have your schedule out already, right? You guys know what you're playing.
They've been out for a while.
What week do you guys play the Chiefs for the first time?
I think it's week 4, 3.
Yeah.
That's enough time. That is enough time to figure it out very early on. If you guys do by like game 3, honestly, I think you guys will be pretty freaking solid. It could be you guys figure it out on week 4 when you guys play them, to be honest with you.
Another team that made some good moves.
Week 6.
Week 6?
Week 6.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? Week 4 you guys find your identity. Week 6 you guys maybe beat the Chiefs. I could probably see that.
Yeah.
I could really see that.
Yeah,
it's like I said, it all has to do with finding your guys' identity. I feel like if you guys find your identity, you guys could make a real good run for your money on it, to be real with you. Even if your roster has some shine, but it's not a lot of the shine that it could have. And I don't think it's because you guys aren't a great team. I just don't think your players have had a fair opportunity to really get that shine. You know what I mean? Like, you guys were under a pretty fucking terrible coach the last 2 years.
That's where I think a lot of the difference.
Yeah.
QB play, see if that improves.
You got a coach that doesn't just know what he's doing, but has played the game before. But you got a coach that the team respects and is willing to play for, which makes such a big difference on a team. You know what I mean? When your coach, when your players lose confidence in you as a coach, it's very hard to start winning games with that team.
Yeah. I mean, you even see it with individual players. Like, I mean, we're victims of that. Obviously, like when Jalen Hurts got his first starts, the team rallied behind him. Carson Wentz, by all means, lost the locker room. Jalen Hurts comes in as a rookie and like wins the team over, even though he like realistically the stats were about the same considering Carson Wentz was having like a terrible year, like completion percentage wise and everything like that. But sometimes it's just the mentality of those around you and those that are with you that really determine how the team performs and like how the team. So like, and I think that all plays into like what you guys are talking about, like building an identity, who they are, everything. Like all of that plays into it. A team that might find their identity this year. And this is only because like I've wanted to. Fuck the Bears. Fucking Caleb Williams' painted nails is gonna play like shit.
He scores 70 first game.
Imagine.
I'd be like, damn, my oh my, how the
no, but the Titans made like a bunch of acquisitions. I'll just rattle off. No. I will rattle off some names: L'Jarius Sneed, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Chidobe Awuzie. Like those are like, if you hear those names, Awuzie was like, all four of those players have been either on Super Bowl rosters in the last like 3-4 years, or on very good playoff teams. So like that's huge just for their secondary, which their front seven was never the problem. They actually stopped the run pretty effectively in 2023. So, but they couldn't really put points up. So we're hoping with the second year of Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins there, they just traded for for Calvin Ridley, so there's a couple of guys there.
Oh, yeah,
there's a couple of dogs.
The Jaguars, right?
Yeah, he left the Jags.
He had 1,000 yards against the Jags, even though he missed a lot of balls that flew over his head or catchable.
He had a couple of Gabe Davis games. Holy hell. But no, so I do think the Titans are unfortunately, I think they're in a similar position, if actually worse, than the Raiders, because I do think the Chargers are weaker this year and the Broncos are in Brazil. So like because the Chiefs own that fucking division. The Raiders have a chance to jump over the Chargers, but like Rudy said, like maybe as a wild card team, maybe as the 7th seed, sneak in. The Titans, they have to get over the Jaguars, which I don't think is a big hurdle because I really don't trust the Jaguars. But the Colts might look good if Anthony Richardson stays healthy for a whole year. Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell, like this whole team might pop off. And a healthy Jonathan Taylor.
Even if Anthony Richardson doesn't stay healthy all year long, they still have Joe Flacco. The guy will throw as many TDs as he will ints, but he'll get scores, So it's like, bro will sling it.
Jonathan Taylor is healthy coming into the year. They got rid of Zach Moss, so he's a workhorse back again, which we saw the last time he was a true workhorse and he was healthy. He gave us like a 1,200-yard year. So
yeah,
but obviously the fourth team in this equation, the Houston Texans. So it's like they are in such a fucking tough division. Obviously the Houston Texans are the big dogs, but I feel like the Colts and the Jaguars are kind of in that same range where even if the Titans do make a big jump, they're still just in the mix with those other two teams. So it's tough, but I think they could surprise some people. But I don't think they're gonna make it to the playoffs, but I think they could finish like 9-7 and ruin some fucking people's seasons. Ruin some people's playoff hopes. I think they have a good chance.
I really feel the same way too. Another team that could do that, honestly, and they've already shown they can since last season, is and even steal some people's spots, is the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like Jordan Love did not do bad last season. He did very well, he played his ass off, and he's got some pretty young and good receivers now.
Yeah.
You know, he's got Christian Watson out there. He's got Romeo Dobbs. Luke Musgrave's still not a bad tight end.
No. Dealt with
You
some
know what I'm
injuries, but
saying?
is
You know,
solid.
and then they just added Josh
Yep.
Jacobs to the backfield.
Jaden,
The other tight end is Tucker Kraft too.
they're
Yeah, I was about
They
to
can
say, you
intermix
got
them.
Kraft as well.
we didn't even name their best receiver, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed
Yeah.
was a fucking insane performer for them last year. So like that, yeah,
Exactly.
it's
It
crazy.
definitely it makes it to where they don't have a true wide receiver one. So
Yes.
fantasy wise, right? It can be like
Either
you're
one.
throwing a dart. One
They're
of
in
them
the
might
same-
pop off, or you might be the one getting the guy that is very much like a Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
He'll pop off, but then go stagnant for the next 3 weeks until the next pop off, right? Because you have
Yeah.
Davian Wicks,
It's
Jaden
a
Reed,
very
Romeo Dobbs, and Christian Watson, right?
Yeah.
So trying to pick which one of those are gonna pop off on the occasion week, that's rough.
Yeah, and you know, and they're very Houston-like right now. You know what I mean? Houston's in the same boat where they have, you know, 3 great receivers that could just really pop the fuck off all at the same time, or take turns individually popping off, because you know they're all great themselves. You know, you got Tank Down, Nico Collins,
Yeah.
and now Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
And
think
CJ
the-
Stroud proved last
Yeah.
season I can deliver the ball to those receivers.
yeah,
Do you think that Jordan Love should be drafted around the CJ Stroud range?
let me write
Yeah,
that down
right
for you,
now
too.
CJ Stroud is getting drafted around he's usually the 5th quarterback taken off the board, right? Because
Yeah.
you got Josh Allen, you got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and then you got Lamar Jackson. Those
Yeah.
are the ones that are considered elite
Yeah.
this year. And so after that, you got CJ Stroud. And then it goes into this next section of, all right, I didn't get on any of those quarterbacks, and now I see Dak Prescott, I see Jordan Love, I see Kyler Murray, right? My question is, do you think Jordan Love should be at that CJ Stroud ranking just because of all the weapons that he has, if we're comparing him to CJ Stroud in terms of
I
overall
I
offense?
wholeheartedly agree with that. I think so,
I-
personally.
I was gonna
just think
say-
so because it's like I said, I how can I say I don't when I just finished talking about how he's in the same situation as CJ Stroud
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of receivers. You know what I mean?
They
He's
both don't
got
use their feet.
weapons.
They don't really run.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too. They don't run; they stick to their arm, which I do applaud
They got Josh Jacobs.
because you know what I mean. And like I said, they got Josh Jacobs, and Josh
Houston
Jacobs
got
is an
Joe
animal.
Mixon.
Yeah,
Oh, you're seeing a lot
get
of
what I'm
parallels
saying?
here.
Yeah.
You're seeing
that's
a
what I'm
lot of
saying.
parallels.
You know, so it's very. They're in a very same situation as, no joke, the 49ers. They're in a very same situation.
stacked
The Niners
offenses.
got a very good stacked trio of wide receivers: Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk again now, and Deebo Samuel, with a good set of running backs: Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, and you got Josh Jacobs now. And I honestly think Josh Jacobs is going to flourish in this offense, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well,
You know, I
compare
feel
them
like
to
for him, he's
49ers,
going to
though,
feel like he's playing back in college with this offense for him.
There is one pretty big outlier, I would say, other than just offensive lines and how those are looking up, but a tight ends, right? Because Houston
Yes.
Texans, will they utilize, what is it?
Dalton
Schultz.
Will
I think
they
they
utilize
will,
him enough? You know, or is he mostly a TD dependent tight end?
which is
Same
even
thing
better
for-
fantasy.
Maybe, but it's hard to predict those, right? And then at
Yeah.
the same time, Green Bay has Luke Musgrave, and then they intermix them with Tucker Kraft, right?
Yeah.
Where on the 49ers side, you really know who the tight end is. It's George Kittle,
Yeah.
right? And bro has always put up like top 10 tight end finishes for like the past, 3-4
He
years.
started.
He's usually
Yeah.
Since he started.
as long as there weren't injuries, right?
Yeah.
I will
Even
say
with
this.
injuries, he was still doing that.
I will say this. The one thing that I will lend a little bit more credence to, so like you were asking about Jordan Love, and I wouldn't touch and which is ironic because I did draft Romeo Dobbs. Granted, I drafted him really deep, really late.
13th, 14th round.
Yeah, like late round. But I really wouldn't touch the early guys, the Jaden Reed, Christian Watson usually goes pretty early. Like I wouldn't touch those guys with the fucking 30-foot
Romeo
pole.
Dobbs is the new Nelson.
I would take like if they're available to me double digit rounds, I'll take them, which I did. But really, I trust the quarterback. I trust the running back more so than I trust Joe Mixon in Houston for
Yes,
one
definitely.
reason. For one reason and one reason only, because of utilization coming from the fact that Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love are playing in a Matt LaFleur offense. Matt LaFleur, it's funny he made the comparison to the
Who's
49ers.
Joe Mixon's backup right now?
Damian Pierce. So Pierce stayed. Devin Singletary went
And then
to
it's
the
still
Giants.
Khalil Herbert then, right?
Khalil Herbert. I don't know.
Will Herbert's
No,
on
wait,
the-
Herbert's with the
okay.
Bears. With the
Yeah.
Bears.
So the only reason I
That's
would
another interesting
like
backfield.
the you making that comparison is so apt because Matt LaFleur comes from the Kyle I almost said Mike Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, his dad, that's a daddy, but Kyle Shanahan tree. So like you see it. You see the fucking comparisons. You see the way that they build their offenses. You see the way that they run motions. You see the way that they utilize their players. Like Luke Musgrave had some good production, but really he's not utilized that heavily in the offense. And if you really look at it, Kittle's talent is what makes him thrive in San Francisco's offense. It's not the scheming. It's not really devised for him, but it's just that motherfucker just gets open. He just gets he's just good.
He's just good.
So it's
he's like Travis Kelce. It don't matter where he's gonna go. He's
So,
gonna make it happen.
I'm not touching Luke Musgrave. I'm not touching I don't care about the Packers tight ends because they might be talented, but they're not George Kittle. Like they can't. George Kittle only gets recognition inside of the Kyle Shanahan offense for two reasons. One, if you look at it really, he really only got the recognition before Brandon Ayuk broke through and Deebo Samuel became Deebo Samuel. Like that's really when you see his prime. And so he's just literally existed off of talent level and hustle for the latter part of his career for the last couple years. Obviously he's dealt with injury and this and that, you know. Yeah. So I don't trust tight ends and I really don't trust the receivers only because like you said, in the fantasy aspect, I don't trust them. I don't trust the Green Bay receiver core. Yeah, I don't trust the Green Bay receiving core.
So what I was gonna say, I was gonna get into the fantasy aspect, and I do agree with a lot of what he said, but I was just speaking in general, like how the season's gonna go. No, as far as fantasy goes, like I said, you know, Romeo Dobbs, he's the new Jordy Nelson. You know what I mean? Yeah. Very good. Will get the job done. If the ball comes his way, he's yanking it in. There's a solid chance he's gonna get a few TDs out of that shit. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. He was like another Hunter Renfrow. Very good, can get the job done, and as a hustler, and he's willing to he's willing to go in and make the play happen for you. You know, so those guys are great late round pickups because they can come in clutch as fuck whenever you need them as a bye week. You know, sometimes, most times when you fill them in for a bye week, it's like I had to, obviously. Yeah. But it's not a bad person to rely on because you just, like you said, you know, you just never know when he's going to go the fuck off and just really set it off for you.
I got to say that for all Green Bay receivers, the one person that I intentionally never take, even if I see them available, is Christian Watson.
Can't stay healthy.
Bro just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, so that is a guy that, hey, maybe this might be his year. But I think even the preseason he was
like, I picked him up, but he's on my bench.
Like,
again, another Romeo Dobbs kind of situation where he's going to be my flex guy that I just throw in there when I need to get a buy going. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I know he's playing, the good news is that I know he's going to get targeted. And I know he's going to get him. You know, and for the most part, he's a very good receiver. But it's like you said, he does get injured. That's the downside. But, like I said, he's not my primary. Now, I would never pick him as like a wide receiver one, not even a wide receiver two. But like I said, to sit on my bench until I need him for bye weeks, it's not a bad situation.
He's like the wide receiver version of James Conner. Bro's always injured every single year. For something,
but when he's on the field,
at least, if he's on the field, he's good, right?
Yeah,
he'll be okay.
He really is.
James Conner had a little bit more upside, of course, just because he's the main running back there for Arizona. But yeah, the health factor, it's like, especially when you see it in preseason, it's like, nah, I'm cool, right? And the same can kind of be said for a lot of fantasy aspects when it comes to contracts. Now that we're seeing. You know, Jamar Chase hopefully getting closer to a contract is like, okay, cool. We're kind of teasing a little bit.
If Jamar Chase doesn't sign, like I actually lose. I actually just lose.
Hey, I'll say this: you intentionally chose him again after what happened last year.
It was either that or I reached for AJ Brown. Guys, I had the third pick.
Know,
dude, I already have Jalen. I had the defense. I have the kicker.
Overall.
Like.
I think Justin Jefferson was open too. Just whether you want to
I trust Jamar getting signed more than I do Justin Jefferson getting delivered the ball by Sam Darnold.
Hey, they're getting closer.
I'm not gonna lie.
I picked up
Bijan Robinson for my first overall pick. I mean,
I mean, you were the 1.1, so that makes it kind of easy on you.
Yeah, but well, I mean, at the same time, I mean, even if he was
Oh,
available
for
later
and
in the
just
draft, I would have
hold on,
definitely picked him
and
up.
just so
Because-
nobody thinks that my brother is retarded more than he actually is, Christian McCaffrey was off the board because Anthony
Yes.
won, so he had him
Yes.
with the 10th pick. So that,
Yeah.
that it's a
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
We
it's
have
a
custom rules.
No
yeah, yeah.
retardation here, trust me.
Yeah,
Alright, I don't believe in the Madden curse that much.
just stupidity. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. No, never that. So, I had to pick up Bijan Robinson, but I went with the running back this year because it's like I feel like those little by little are kind of starting to diminish the good ones.
Yeah.
Because the good ones that were running the league for the longest time for so long,
Yeah.
they're starting to get older now, and they're
Yeah.
starting to
Yeah.
kind of phase out. And I don't think we've seen a new batch that could come in and get it done like they have.
No, Anthony and I were just having
You
this
know what I'm
conversation
saying?
of like the workhorse back is dead. Like when I started this league,
Yes, it's not the same.
when I started this league, the meta was you go running back first, wide receiver second, and so you always get your workhorse back. You get your guy that's like your every. There is no every.
But I'm not
guy
gonna lie,
anymore.
this year I
They
went
don't
two
exist.
running backs, first and
Yeah.
second pick.
That
You know
being
what I mean?
said,
Only because
yeah.
I was like, but that being said, I felt like I was in a position where I was back into a corner where it was like, fuck, I'm gonna miss out on some good receivers, but it's like I'd rather miss out on, a good receiver in a pot full of other good
Yeah.
receivers than to miss out in like a little small bucket
Well,
of just
I
a
will say
handful of
that-
running
Yeah.
backs that are worth it. And I ended up with Isaiah Pacheco as my second
Yeah.
running back, and
That's
that's not a bad.
That's really
That's
good.
not, in my opinion, that's not a bad come up. But
will
I
say
don't
the
feel he
upside-
wouldn't have been available for my next pick. I promise
No.
that.
Oh yeah. I would say
feel
that
like he was-
for the top running backs right now, there's a lot of upside, right? You have Devon Achan, where if he is healthy, bro, that could be a
Yes.
league winner right there. Brees
I was
Hall,
about
if
to
he's
say that
healthy,
too.
league winner, right? Because a lot of these guys, it just depends on if they can stay healthy. I think there was like some stat line where like 70% of the running backs that are drafted in the first like 2 rounds, right, don't make it in the top, was it top 5 or top 10 or something like that, just because of injury or just because of something that goes on where they're forced to miss games. So that's why it is a bigger risk taking running back.
Yes,
So yeah,
definitely.
but I think getting Pacheco in your second or getting Bijan, with your first pick, those are of course solid. Most fantasy experts would be like, yes, you did a good job. I know for myself, just because of a little bit of our scoring aspect and how we do passing touchdowns or 6 points, I definitely went with Josh Allen. Bro's been like number 1 or number 2 like every year. So I took him with my second pick, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to lock down a quarterback because I knew by the time it came back around to me, I wouldn't have access to Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or potentially Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. So I wanted to lock it in. I didn't want to do the roulette of who's going to have the best year out of, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, all those. 'Cause I'm sure they will have.
you didn't want to
years,
pick
but-
from the rest.
Yeah.
I got lucky and ended
I
up
wanted
with
to pick the
Purdy.
elite. Yeah, Purdy's fine. He's
Because I had a strategy going into it. I knew, like, the minute I found out my pick, I was like, fuck. Because I was going to do running back, receiver, and
I
kind
will
of play
say
with
Purdy
that
would
order.
have probably been on the board until your 8th pick. You took him at the 5th.
Yeah, I didn't want to take that chance.
He did have
And
the
then plus-
snake, so
I feel you got
technically
your
it was like
guy.
it was
You
like
got your guy.
I will say this: it was technically like his 5-6, but because he had the
Yeah.
snake, he had the first pick.
Yeah, I
Also-
had the snake, so it didn't matter if I went him first or the next guy on the second in the 6th round. Honestly, I was pushing more towards the 6th, but when I ended up in the first, pick overall, and I knew how many people were going to come around, like, that's even why I picked up the Niners defense as early as I did, too, because I was like, that's a lot of fucking picks to take a risk on that. People just, like, because the one thing you always got to, like, really, really throw into the factor is that small little chance that you don't make that move early on, and then the next guy does,
Yep.
and he sends off a fucking trend for the next 2 rounds, where people just
Yeah.
start drafting
Yeah,
all
runs.
the defenses,
Yeah,
and then
runs.
you're fucking
Yeah.
screwed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you were like, oh, I'm gonna play like this and aggressive, maybe too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
at that same time, like when I end up, like I said, when I end up with that first pick, it's like, yeah, you get the first pick overall. That's great. Granted, CMC was off the table. I picked up Bijan Robinson, but it's like I still missed out on the next fucking 22 picks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot of fucking good players off the damn board
Yeah.
right off the top. So it puts you in a whole new like draft idea and
Yep.
perspective. You know, and you get into that crazy spot of like, fuck. So that's
Yeah.
why I said like I went 2 running backs right back to back. But the good news was I got to draft immediately afterwards. So I picked up Brandon Ayuk because I knew he was gonna eat no matter where he went.
Yeah.
You know, even if he went to Pittsburgh, it's like, well, I know who the number 1 is now. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I think making sure that you're paying attention to your format, and then like keeping track of trends like is important. So like in our
Yeah.
in our 18-man Superflex league, like a lot of people I don't think realized that the league had transitioned to Superflex. So it's like quarterbacks are at a fucking premium. So a quarterback run starts. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm picking 6th. I'll probably get like maybe a CD or like an AJ. Fucking quarterback went first overall. Second overall goes Christian McCaffrey, and all of a sudden it's like quarterback receiver, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta get my QB. So I take
There's too many
Jalen.
fucking quarterbacks
Yeah,
disappearing that quick.
so I take Jalen, swings back to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take another quarterback here because Moore had gone. I picked up Dak, so it's like that alone already left me with like way higher projections than over half the league because everybody else they saw the quarterback run and they were like, all right, I'll get my guy. So they got their fucking, they got their Lamar Jackson, and then their backup is fucking Daniel Jones. So it's like,
Yeah.
because they didn't pay attention, oh wait, it's super flex, I can start 2 QBs, and QBs will almost always, especially if you get a higher end one, get more points than a traditional flex pick. But yeah, so I mean, also, kind of to clown on you because you said that I'm not good at predicting shit. You can ask Anthony. I actually predicted you would take Brock Purdy in the fucking slot that you took him. I was like,
We were drafting in the same room.
yeah, I was
and,
like, Rudy takes Purdy here, and then all of a sudden locks in. I was like, let's go,
But,
boy.
hey, we got
But
your
to be
guy.
fair, I kind of
Sometimes
told him that I was
getting your
going
guy.
to early on, so.
Yeah, and I always.
Because I
think
told him,
that
I
when
was
it
like,
comes
I
to drafting-
promise you, the only reason why somebody would pick up Purdy before me at the round I was going to pick him up would be one, to piss me off because somebody let it slip, that's what I was going to do. Or 2, like, they're just a diehard Niner fan and they're just playing their fantasy game according to that. You know what I mean? Which you always got to be fucking scared about those assholes because they can really fuck up a whole cycle on shit. You know what I mean? Because let's be realistic. Like, when I picked up Purdy, let's be 100% realistic. That's probably the earliest he was going to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and it's not to say that he's not a good quarterback. I just feel like he really still stays slept on that a lot of people don't understand. I feel like if he pops off again this season, we go to another Super Bowl, I feel like he's not going to be on the board for very long in the
I
future
will
seasons.
say
to
that
come.
he was definitely underrated. He was number 6 quarterback last year, if I'm not mistaken, just
Yep.
in our format. I know we do slightly different rules, and the scores are slightly adjusted for that. But he was the number 6 quarterback in our format.
I
So-
do
Well,
I
my
do live
first season-
updates. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah, remember that last season that I had Josh Allen. I was playing him for the longest time, and then I'm not
Josh
gonna lie,
Allen
like,
took a shit though.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
you know,
it
and
wasn't a
that was
hard
just
choice.
like,
Nobody was holding a gun. It
holy
was like,
shit.
holy.
Yeah, you know,
fuck,
so like
yeah.
I just finally said, you know what? Or no, I ended up in a situation where I had to
That was
play
last
Brock
season,
Purdy.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to play
That was last
Brock Purdy, and honestly, Brock Purdy, he took me from a 1-5 season to legit like the round right before the fucking championships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he had like 3 or 4 games straight where he was just dumping it to Debo 3 times, and I had Debo on my roster, so I was just sitting there, just with 2 forks and spoons, just going at it, bro. Like, eating. So it was nice to see that, you know. And I tell people a lot too, when it comes to drafting, is like how we said, you know, when you're catching on to trends, you gotta learn when to stick to your guns, and you gotta learn when to be flexible. Because legit, like, if you're not flexible, you'll start to see that, like, and you stick too much like to your strategy, it screws you over on the back end tough.
Yeah.
You know, so
You end up with a
lot
bunch
those-
of
a lot
handcuffs on your
picks-
bench.
Yeah, a lot of
that's
fucking hey, you
I
can
got a
say
lot of
that.
I know. That's why I said it, dickhead.
Yeah.
I'm fucking around.
But I will say,
But-
I don't have handcuffs specifically for my team. The only one I do have is for Jordan Mason. I
Yeah.
have the handcuff of Bijan Robinson, which is Rudy's, and then I have the handcuff of Cowboys, so that's Rico Dowdle, right? In case Ezekiel Elliott, but Rico Dowdle might have a more improved offense. We'll see, or improved part. So
Yeah, true. But I don't know. It just when I ended up in that position, I knew I had a draft. I just got pushed into a wall sometime. And I was like, you know what? I really don't want to pick this guy this early on, but I have a feeling if I don't get it now,
Yeah.
not only will I miss out on that, I'm gonna miss out on the next best things, and I'm gonna end up in this fucking position.
Yeah.
At least it's safe to say I got the best defense in the league, and then I turn around and got a really good secondary deal. Like I went with the Houston Texans, and I knew nobody was gonna pick them up early, but I just have a really good feeling about them this season. To be honest with you, I really feel like they're gonna actually do really well. They've shown they're willing to play for DeMeco Ryans, and their offense is lightweight become a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So now the defense feels more confident knowing that, hey, if we go out there and we get this fucking job done, we know our offense can win us the game.
Yeah, I think the only reason I would be afraid of a defense like the Houston Texans is because their offense is, number one, prolific, and number two, specifically, they're pass heavy. So,
yes,
quick drives. Like, typically pass-heavy offenses will have quick drives, which means the defense is back out there. And anytime the defense is out there, that's another opportunity to lose points or, to mess up. Granted, that's also more opportunity for them to get a pick, get a forced fumble, make points up. But, it just depends on your format. But really, I want...
And that's why, I said, I have the 49ers as my primary defense. But... if the Niners are playing somebody like the fucking Chiefs, and I got the Houston Texans playing somebody like the goddamn
Raiders, I was wrong.
Fucking no offense.
Hey,
the Raiders or somebody
the
like
Panthers,
the Jaguars or the Panthers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna pick that defense for that week because I know they're gonna eat. Yeah, you know what I mean? They go against New England this year. When they do that, it's like. Do I want to ride with the Niners defense? Well, it depends. Who are they playing that week? Oh, yeah, we might do good, but at the same time, you're looking like, I don't know, that offense is ass. I know.
A lot of the defenses that are going against New England this year are projected to do really well.
Yeah.
So
I
the ones in their division, that is, when they're playing them twice. I know Rudy's checking right now, trying to draft a defense who's playing against New England.
Yeah,
I'm
solid on my defenses. I'm good with the Niners and the Texans. I'm gonna write that out.
No, I almost
that's gonna be nice.
I almost took the Carolina Panthers defense with my last pick as a joke, and instead I took Nick Foles. And then the first trade of our league this season was Nick Foles for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown. Oh my god. No, I mean, dude, I made a living off of flying defenses that were playing the New York Giants. I think a season ago. Which, if a team was playing the New York Giants and they were available on the waiver wire, I was picking them up. That was my defensive, my flyer strategy. It was who's playing the Giants this week? All right, take them. Because, you can do that. But especially if you're not able to get an elite defense. But touching back on something you said earlier, you mentioned your playoff run, Rudy. So, I mentioned earlier I have a fun fact. This is the fun fact. It kind of ties into this. So, I am 0-2 against my brother in the playoffs. In the regular season, I'm 3-1. So we haven't even.
I win when it matters.
We have an even 3-3 record.
I'm winning the war.
But I'm 0-2 in the playoffs, and both losses were within 15 points. Anthony and I, I'm 1-4. I'm 1-4 against Anthony.
I wonder how I am against Anthony.
I've been playing fantasy football for only 2 years, and so far I'm 18-10, just overall record. So that's a 64% win rate. Mind you, the type of league we've been in has been typically a smaller format, so a lot of teams are stacked. And I haven't had to deal with any major huge injuries except for Nick Chubb. I had to deal with that one year. That was probably in a different league.
That was me last year.
Yeah, so
in this league,
I think it's been doing pretty well. But I happen to go against Luis often whenever either someone's injured on his team or the Jamar Chase situation. last year, stuff like that. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
But the one time I won, he was undefeated. It was after our first joint podcast. Actually, so this is what happened. We recorded a joint podcast, and it ended up just being Anthony and I because we had to re-record. There was some audio issues with the original recording. Rudy couldn't make it, so Anthony and I ended up recording. And one of the things we said, the opening intro was "Any given Sunday, you never know what could happen." And I ended up fucking beating him. He was undefeated. I was like 1-5, and so that's the one win I have against him. And also, you mentioned that you're curious to know what your head-to-head record is. 2-2. You guys are 2-2 against each other. You are actually even against each other. You went 1-1 against each other.
Champions in the league.
You went 1-1 against each other last year. You went 1-1 against each other the year before. You guys have split the series both times. So funny enough, these two are so this is our first inaugural champion in 2022. This is our second year champion 2023. This guy
I was the first guy.
Yeah.
He was the second champion. I was the first champion.
We're different.
It's because the recording. Yeah. I got it right. In our other league, he's won and I've won. So all three of us technically have won a league before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've won quite a few.
Yeah. So I think Rudy has 3 league wins. Right? Because you've won Kyle's, you won our league. 4. And then I think you won Chris's twice, right?
Chris, I won that, I believe, one time.
Okay. But yeah, so
and then I won another league I was in before.
Yeah, so this guy has like the most experience out of all of us.
The best thing too is I always got told, oh, I'm gonna do that. That's a stupid decision, and you're gonna regret it. I'm sitting there standing on the podium like, my oh my, my oh my.
I will say,
there's been a lot of times when I've been right. It's just because, I tell people, the more you do it, the more you start to understand the game, the more you start to realize like you understand football like pretty thoroughly.
So check this out, Anthony. The last time that I drafted Jalen Hurts and Jamar Chase, I won the league.
What year was that?
That was when that was in Kyle's league, two years ago. And I traded Jamar Chase.
First winner, he was the second winner.
Yeah, and I traded Jamar Chase after he had a couple of like good games, and I traded him away. He had one more good game, and then after that he had like a 4-game spell where he just put like single digits up. I traded him for Terry McLaurin, and everybody thought I was crazy. And I was like, I don't need somebody who's gonna blow up. I just need somebody who's gonna be consistent. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
That's what won me a lot of my games was I had players that were very consistent. It's like, oh, he's only going to get you 10 to 15 points. It's like, yeah, but he does it every fucking week.
It also helped that
that's pretty nice.
I had the Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith stack before AJ Brown went to Philadelphia. So that was big, dude. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, so 3-3, 1-3, or 1-4, 2-2. That's the 1-3. Sorry, 1-3. Because we've only played in the regular season, so we've had 4 matchups. So yeah, 1-3, 3-3, 2-2. Yep. So it'd be interesting if you guys don't split this year. Then somebody will actually take the advantage. So it'd be cool to see.
I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to matchups. Who's playing who. Not like me versus Rudy, but like the actual individual matchups of the players, right? Because like if we have players that are all going against a stacked defense, right, where they're going against 49 or they're going against Baltimore, those players might on average probably do worse than players that are going against New England or those weaker teams. So it really comes down to matchups, a little bit of luck, and just how skilled the players are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like I don't know. I'm stuck on, starting the Niners defense against the Jets.
Most people would agree with you, I would say.
Yeah, but at the same time, Houston's playing Indianapolis.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, Niners Jets. It's like, again, this is the second season in a row that I open my season against Anthony. Last year I lost. This year, I
open my season against? I think all mine against Johnny.
Maybe the saving grace is the fact that Christian McCaffrey is going against the Jets defense, who they're projected to be like a top, like a pretty good defense. That being said, I don't think they're gonna fucking contain Christian McCaffrey, but they might do it a lot better than if, let's say, the Niners opened their season against like the fucking Panthers or the Giants or something. So there's at least that. He might not have a 50-point game, but at least he'll only have like a 30-point game, you know? So there is that. I'll take solace in that. So yeah, like matchups do
but the
make
concern
the
is
matchup.
that that's his last player.
True. That's the Monday night matchup, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I also
so-
say, if we're talking about like fantasy and just like overall
Yeah.
aspect, winning, losing, a lot of it does come down to trades that you make during the season,
Mhm.
and then a lot of it comes down to the trades you don't make during the season.
Yeah.
And I definitely learned this firsthand is, looking back at last year and seeing the trades I was trying to make, but those getting denied by other players.
Yeah.
Those ones actually ended up saving me. I was at some point trying to trade away Kyron Williams because he had a hot week, right? If they would have accepted that trade, I don't think I would have made it to the championship, right? So that's on them, but at the same time, it's on me because it's like, I shouldn't even been thinking about that, So a lot of times it can.
Desperation.
Hold on.
Luck. What?
I will mediate this. Because again, I mentioned you two are the only winners in our league. Inaugural year after. What did you just say? About the trades you don't make?
Yeah.
I have heard this guy for the last 2 years mention, be like fuck, like Riley didn't accept my trade, Anthony didn't accept my trade, and he's like, fuck him, I'm gonna go win the chip. What does he do the first year? He wins the chip. So he literally has said the exact same thing. So I'm so glad you brought that up. It's hilarious. Both of our league winners, the exact same thing. People didn't accept their trades.
Because I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go win the league my way then. So then I started, sure enough, you can ask them. I'll go through my roster. I start dropping people. I'll even trade away a big guy out of nowhere to somebody else. I'll do what I have to do. Next thing you know, like last year, I literally, that round right before the championship, I just had Kenny Walker got hurt, and he ended up getting me 3 points. And I had to settle for that. And then I had Debo not perform, or because if he was coming off injury, I think, or he just got re-injured, so he got screwed. And they didn't make that till game time decision. It was just some things like that that really screwed me over in the back end, and it was just like, fuck. And I lost that round. But it was by guys that you would never expect that to happen with. It was just unfortunate. But, I went from 1-5 starting off the season. Like, my first win was the first game, and then it was just a dry spell for a minute, and I was like, fuck, I gotta make some moves. And a lot of it had to do with early fucking injuries and shit like that. So I was like, damn. So I went and I made some moves. I did what I had to do, and I ended up, pulling Allen and putting Purdy in, and next thing you know, I'm knocking on the door of the fucking championship, like, let me in again, and it's just like, it was pretty dope seeing that. It's just seeing it come to play. You're just like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have gotten that far, or maybe even gone all the way if I would have made the trades I would have made. But at the same time, it was I was just being lazy. I just wanted the easy way, make a couple trades,
Get studs.
sound like,
yeah,
and then just throw them in and then just let it ride out. But I was like, you know what? No, you can figure this out. And that's what I was telling them. Fuck it. I was like, I know what I'm giving is fair, and they're gonna see. I'm gonna make it work with those guys. Watch, and I did. And I did. It wasn't until that second to last game where it just caught me, and I was like, fuck. And it was one of those things where even people were just like, damn, bro, like that's one of those things where it's just like, that's very fucking unfortunate.
Between me and Rudy, we have more denied trades from each other than we definitely do for any accepted trades. I think we only have like 2 accepted trades in our whole history, total, and then we have like probably like 10, 15 plus of denied trades, and it's because we're very competitive.
Bro, I fucking offered him Josh Allen last year.
Yeah, you did.
yeah.
I
I
offered
know.
him Josh Allen plus another player for CMC and some fucking bum, literally.
You offered me
Oh.
Josh Allen and Kenneth Walker for CMC after Kenneth Walker got injured.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, it wasn't after he got injured.
It was after.
Hold on. At the end of the
Oh yeah,
day,
because it was. But that's after I found out it
right
was like
after.
a 2-week. It was a 2-week buyout for him,
Yeah.
and I knew he wasn't gonna need him anytime soon.
Yes, sir.
So when you make your trades, you
Some-
want to win in regards to your roster. You don't want to win in regards to, oh, I got a better up than him. No, because believe it or not, you might have some solid players you could really get some meat out of other people for. That's gonna complete your roster and make it perfect for you to ride out for that season. You know what I mean? So it's like he said too. It's a lot of the trades you don't make
Yeah.
because you feel like they're worth way too much, or they're worth this, they're worth that. But your roster's already fucking stacked beyond recognition, but you're dying in this fucking category. You know what I'm saying? So they just look like that.
It's just because I stat check this guy every fucking season, at least 3 times, and if like
I'm still winning.
One time, no, I'm talking about Anthony. It's because of that. Like, if I didn't win so hard that first trade, a couple of them would have gone through. No, goddamn, dude.
I think that's good. We talked about the trades. We've talked about a lot of what's happened in the whole football world a little bit. Should we start with season predictions here? Kind of.
I think quick. I think hot takes. I think I already got out. Like, I think the Titans defense might do a little bit better. I think Titans might do all right. I think we've all gotten kind of predictions. Rudy said that the fucking Raiders might make the playoffs.
Hey, I'll take that.
I really feel like they might. They might be a solid wild card seed.
Hey,
Honest to God,
make the playoffs too.
Honest to God, the only way they take that number 1 seed, the only way they take that number 1 seed is if they beat the Chiefs in both of those games.
What the fuck?
It comes down to that. It comes down to that tie-breaking situation, and it's gonna be your guys' head-to-heads that decided or something. You know what I mean?
If 15 of the planes crash with the full team's rosters on it, the Raiders will get the first seed. No, here's my hot take. The Eagles finish with about the same record.
Their identity.
Yeah.
If they find it, there's that big asterisk right there with that. If they find their identity,
I think the Eagles will finish with a similar record to last year, but there's just not the implosion. I think they'll lose a little more sporadically throughout the season, so it's a little more respectable, as opposed to starting fucking like 10-1 and then just
we're going to the fucking Super Bowl, baby.
Losing like five games in a row, like, and then beating the Giants, which I was at. I was at that game. I was there for Christmas. And that was the only game we won for fucking
going
6
to
games.
The Super Bowl again. That's for damn sure.
Okay. Oh, so Anthony, I do want to say, Rudy made the because we're making predictions. I kind of want to just spitball last season's predictions because I rewatched our
NFC Championship. I think if I remember correctly, I predicted the championship.
He predicted.
We got wrong with that one.
No, he predicted that San Francisco would go to the Super Bowl. I predicted the NFC would be the weaker of the two, and the AFC would probably end up winning. I did, and then he said it would be San Francisco and Buffalo in the Super Bowl, which I was like, Buffalo's gonna fucking take a shit, which they did.
They did, but it wasn't because
we both predicted that Derek Carr might have a comeback year, which he did not, but we predicted around 10 to 11 wins, which he finished at 9. And then I said I think the Saints, if they're healthy, would make the playoffs, which they didn't. They missed by, I think, 1 game. I said the Dolphins' defense might be
immediately
good.
They lost by 1 game, and we were off about 1 or 2 games on Derek Carr's winning.
I said the Dolphins' defense would be better, would be good, especially the secondary, which they were middle of the they were like top 15 for interceptions, so they were like top half of the league, and they were like a top 10 defense. And my main reasons were Jalen Ramsey getting signed and Xavier Howard being a big integral part. I said Ayuk would have a breakout year and would have more yards than Deebo Samuel. So 1,342 to 892. So Deebo Samuel didn't even have a 900-yard season, let alone a 1,000-yard season.
Did you count his rushing yards?
Fuck his rushing yards. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. We joked that it would just automatically go to Bijan Robinson, and then we go, or here, because I was like, hot take, Bijan Robinson wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Even hotter take, he doesn't. CJ Stroud ended up getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. So we joked about it, and it actually ended up being the truth. So that being said, yeah, we've made our predictions. We've done everything. We've covered every fucking topic.
This will probably be the longest episode.
Honestly,
film, to be honest with you. Sorry, we're just doing a lot of catching up. There was a lot of, a lot of it is info dump because it's the beginning of the season. As the weeks progress, the information is going to be less and less unless some crazy shit like Ricky Pearsall getting shot, happens again. Then yeah, I can see that. But outside of that, nothing really is going to fucking be too big of a deal.
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you guys. Y'all have a good night. Anything you guys want to say?
Anthony, see
you next week.
See you next week. We'll see who starts 0-1, who starts 1-0.
Yep.
Between the boys. Let's go. Let's
go.
do it.